now with this 10-bit and the dynamic range and the different colour science, it's just an absolute beast. Look at it. Welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to show you what the Sony A7s III colour grade's like and how well the files work within your editing software. I'm going to do a few little tests, and I'm also going to show you how to speed things up a little if you find that working with these files is slowing down your computer and your editing. But before we get into the video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more gear reviews and tutorials. I'm also on Instagram, and if you head over there you'll see announcements, behind the scenes and bloopers as well, so head over to the account and I'll see you there. So as you're aware, there's been loads of camera announcements and releases lately, but people are saying that because the quality of these cameras is stepping up so much, the file sizes are getting bigger, which means it's harder to edit in your software and it's slowing down your computer. So there's been a lot of talk about that. So before purchasing one of these cameras, the A7s III in particular, that's one of my choices, and I talked about that in another video. I wanted to know if my computer could keep up with the file sizes before making a big purchase, or getting the camera and then having to upgrade a computer as well. I also wanted to know how well it would colour grade, and just in general what the footage looked like with the 10-bit internal recording. But the problem is, I haven't been able to get my hands on one because it's not released yet. But luckily, James Matthews released a video on YouTube the other day, and he was showing what the footage looks like, and he only had that camera for a small period of time, and he didn't cover some of the questions that I want to know. Now it's a bit of a tricky one, this, because within that video he included a link where you could download some of the A7s III footage and have a play with it yourself. Now he said obviously not to use it for commercial purposes, but he didn't say anything about using it for YouTube. So I thought I'd send him a message on Instagram, but unfortunately he didn't get back to me. It's been a few days now. So I just thought I'd go ahead and use it anyway, and obviously I'm going to credit him in this video, so you know that all the footage that's filmed on the A7s III is his footage. And I thought, if I sound like him, I might get away with it. Hold your horses, Miss Poppins. That's my footage. I hope you're all sweet. Bosh! Anyway, I don't want to get in trouble, so James, if you're watching this, which you're probably not, if you want me to take this video down, I will do, but I'd just like to say thank you for letting us download the footage. It's really handy actually to be able to have a play with that footage and the files to see what it's like before you buy the camera, so thank you very much. And sorry for butchering your accent, only joshing, mate. Right, so without further ado, and no more messing about, let's have a look at the footage. First of all, look how clean it looks. I don't know if you can see after the YouTube compression, but in the shadows there's barely any noise whatsoever, and it's just such a clean image. It's so nice. The dynamic range is absolutely huge. He's filmed this on a bright sunny day, but you can still see the detail in the sky, and you can also see all the detail on the chap's face and around his hat and in the shadows where his hair is. You can see all of that as well, so you can grade this footage however you like, and you're still going to be able to retain all those details if you need to. The skin tones are so much better than the Sony A7 III that I used to have. I'm going to come back to the colour grading in a minute, because first of all I want to talk about what the files are like to edit with. So I found that the files straight from the camera were very choppy and slow to edit with, and it's just a nightmare. I've had that before. You get that a lot with Premiere Pro anyway. So what I do a lot of the time is use the Atomos Ninja 5 external recorder, and that records to ProRes. Those files are actually a lot easier to work with in Premiere Pro. I don't get any of that skipping and lagging. It's just such a breeze. So what to do with the Sony footage is, before you start editing, convert all your files to ProRes using Adobe Media Converter. And that way when you come to edit, everything's so much smoother and a lot easier. You still get the odd frame drop here and there, but it's nowhere near as bad as it is with the footage straight from the camera. So that's the first tip, do that, and you can see by these side by sides what the difference is and how bad it is before. But James also said that, well, I believe he said that it wasn't a production line camera, so they might sort that issue when it comes time to shipping in September, I believe. But who knows, because the file size is still going to be quite large, so just bear that in mind. It's going to add an extra step to your workflow, but definitely worth doing because ProRes footage is so much easier to work with anyway. Or if you're going to use the camera with the Atomos Ninja 5 or something like that, then you don't have to worry, because you can record straight to the Atomos and it'll go straight to ProRes. So I've done a couple of tests on the normal footage and the ProRes footage. When you put a LUT over the top of the footage, the normal Sony footage, then it instantly starts chopping again and slows your computer down. But when you put the LUT over the ProRes footage, again, you can edit nice and smoothly. So it's definitely worth going ProRes. So what can I say? The footage is so good to color grade because it's so clean and the dynamic range is just incredible. There's loads of room to grade the footage. Now I'm using my own LUTs here that I'm just about finished creating. It's from a vintage look pack that I'm making, and that'll be available in the next couple of weeks, so keep an eye out for those. But I'm using those to color grade with at the moment, and it's ideal. You just pop those straight on. It works with this footage so well. I created them using Canon C-Log, but they work just as well and just as nicely with the Sony footage. I thought it might be slightly different because of this color science. However, as you can see, it looks really, really nice. So I've been using the LUTs, everything seems fine there, and I've also been using Lumetri color to grade the footage as well, and again, that's absolutely fine. When you're using the ProRes, it doesn't seem to slow it down much. Again, there are a few dropped frames, as I said earlier, but nothing compared to the regular footage. Because of the 10-bit and the dynamic range, it just holds together so well, and that's something that is such a big improvement on the A7 III, the one I used to have. I switched back to Canon actually because I felt like the S-Log footage didn't grade that well. It just totally fell apart when it came to colouring. The Canon has been loads better for that, but now with this 10-bit and the dynamic range and the different colour science, it's just an absolute beast. Look at it. I will say it might take me a little bit to get used to the skin tones again with the Sony, because they are slightly more green in the Sony than they are in the Canon skin tones. They're a bit more red. I think I might just have to get used to it, but I'm gonna have a play around with this and see how I get on with it. Something to bear in mind though. So my first thoughts are, it's incredible, absolutely incredible. It's the dynamic range that I'm after in a new camera. And I mean, I love the Canon to bits, but having that extra dynamic range and the low light capabilities of the Sony, along with everything else, like the improved autofocus, it's just like the perfect camera. Almost. Anyway, there's just so much detail that's preserved in the shadows and the highlights, and that just makes it so much easier to color grade and gives you that real, I don't want to say it, but cinematic image. First impressions, I'm blown away, absolutely blown away. I just wish that I had my hands on one so I could test it out myself and have a go with it in the way that I film and see what it's like for my needs. But still considering the R6 or the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K, still considering those, but after seeing this, I'm pretty impressed. So anyway, just a short one today. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching. Thank you, James, for the footage files. Head over to James's channel if you've not seen it already, and if you want to play with the files yourself, go and have a look. It's on his latest video about you'll see it. It's about the Sony. I'm sure you'll find it. Anyway, thanks again for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bosh!